Where are you building towards? What's the dream?
I want to bring more heart to healthcare. And so I'm wanting to create this project called Heartborn Health.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Tuesday Chats, where we spend about a half an hour or so chatting about business and life and why we choose to do what we do and everything in between. Today, I am joined by Nick Pippett, or Dr. Nick, depending on which generation we worked out we come from. But Nick and we met just a couple of months ago, online initially, and then face to face when we did an amazing event over in Thailand. So, Nick, could you please introduce yourself to everyone who's listening today and let them know who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Terry. So please call me Nick. The only people who call me Dr. Nick are my family, and it's completely a joke. But I love that they call me that. It makes me feel good. Speaking of doctor, I'm a doctor of physical therapy. And for those of you in Australia and New Zealand, that's transitions to like a physio in the countries over there and everywhere in between. So currently I'm working as a full-time physio, and I also have an online coaching business where I help people with pain and I help them go from hurting and transitioning to being into the fitness world and tackling whatever it is that they really want to do. If it's running, if it's hiking, picking up their grandkids, whatever it is that they want their life to be about, that's where we go. And it's completely individualized. It's never a dull moment. I love working with people in that capacity and in that depth.
And I love that. And having spent the time with you in Thailand, you can see how much there's so many times where we would be doing something and like we're in a room learning, and Nick's also off on the side, like giving someone treatment because they needed it. So the fact that you're so invested in everyone around you and so obviously so passionate about what you do is so evident when you see you face to face working with people. But what is it? How is it that you got to here? What is it that sort of sparked that initial interest, or what are the life events that led you to this point of becoming a doctor of physical therapy?
Yeah, and this is true of a lot of physios and a lot of physical therapists. They had some event that forced them to get rehab. So when I was in high school, I was a soccer player and or a footballer for that population. And unfortunately, I tore my ACL on my left knee. And if you're not familiar with ligament rehab, it's a long process. The professionals might get away with 6 months, but they really recommend between 9 to 12 months of rehab. So I had a lot of exposure to physical therapy, and ultimately I got back to playing my sport that I loved. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that set me on the path at 18 to become a physical therapist. And at the time, it's a doctorate degree program. So that's 4 years of undergrad plus 3 years of graduate school on top of that. So 7 years total to achieve that doctorate. And in my first job in Dallas, I started work at a great private practice, Dallas, Texas. And I learned a lot about just how to be a staff physical therapist. And at the time that I left, I was actually coaching some of my fellow physical therapists just through some of the transitions that we were doing. We were creating a new leadership team. We were using the book Traction to create quarterly rocks and quarterly goals. And I fit into that to help everyone through the transition. And I thought, coaching, this is pretty cool. I like this. I feel like I have some natural gifts here, some natural skills, and I wanted to bring that to more people and to the people that I wanted to help. And so that kind of sparked the business aspect in me. And I started to do travel therapy in order to get myself a little bit more time to work on the business. Now, I understand in some of my conversations that travel therapy isn't a big thing, especially not in New
Not here.
Zealand and maybe not in Australia either. So think of it like a contract. I work 3 to 4 months in a single clinic, an outpatient clinic, and then I work with my recruiter and get another contract and I move to a new place. Most of the time in a new
Yeah.
state in the United States.
Yeah. So I think probably our closest thing that it would be, a thing here would be as the registrar. So if you go particularly out further west where it's harder, yeah, most of Australia's population sits on the coastal areas. So when you head, and most down the east coast, so if you head west from where I am, like lighter population, not so much access to therapists, etc., is difficult. And so a lot of physios and GPs here, like general practitioners, will do contracts work in different places. And often it's a time on, time off in one spot rather than what you're doing in terms of moving all over the country. But it gives particularly the younger practitioners who are wanting to build up their skill base and maybe work out where they'd like to settle long term, that sort of stuff. It gives them experience to go, which I guess is in one way what you're doing. Like you're with the travel you're doing, you're getting to kind of see the country and work while you're doing it, which is really cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, it's been really good for me to see different parts of the country. Before this contract, I was in Colorado for 6 months. And so I saw the beautiful hiking in the summer and then the cool snowboarding and snow skiing in the winter. And it's very similar to what you mentioned, helping underserved communities as well, because a
Mm,
lot of times the contracts are not in cities. Because in cities, there's just more people, and it's very likely that an employer is just going to be able to find someone full time to hire.
yeah.
So a contract worker, more often than not, is in a rural environment because they're not able to find someone full time who's
Mm,
nearby who wants to work there.
yeah. It's how lucky are we that we've got that capacity with the communication and the travel and all the rest of it that we can pick people like yourself up and go, I need you here. Go there and get the help for the people in those areas where that's their home. It's such a nice way to be able to like tick boxes for everybody, right? For the people who live there, they get the support that they need, and for someone like yourself, you get to experience life in all these different places before you like decide whether you ever want to settle down somewhere and stop somewhere.
Yeah. And
So,
it's absolutely win-win. I'm finishing up my contract here in 2 days now on Wednesday. And this is not the first time I've been at this location. So I've had some returning patients, but a lot of new patients. And there's one guy in particular who just feels like I've really helped him go from exactly what I'm doing in my coaching program, go from really not being able to move to getting back to the gym. And that's huge for him.
yeah.
So hearing those stories really is gratifying because a lot of times we don't necessarily hear like how somebody ends up. It's cool to have such a strong impact in a community that's this small and this tight knit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it'd be really hard, I think, with what you're doing in terms of, as you said, you don't get to go back and see people very often. And my assumption is that because of your role, you wouldn't be able to keep in contact with anybody for privacy issues and that sort of stuff. Like that content stays with the business that you're coming into and then going out of. It's so nice that you've been able to like reconnect with some past patients and see the impact that your help has given them in their life. That's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. What is it that you love the most about what you get to do?
I think initially when I got in, and it's the same, but up like it's the puzzle, the problem solving. Initially, it was like solving the physical therapy puzzle of okay, what do we need to strengthen? What do we need to stretch? What is it physically that somebody needs to get XYZ and achieve whatever their movement goals are? As I've gotten as a more seasoned clinician, the puzzle is becoming more with more depth of yeah, that's still a consideration, but I've found now that like the person puzzle is more important. I'm asking this person to do something inherently uncomfortable,
Hmm.
especially if they're older, like they're not versed in exercise like a lot of our younger folks are. We just know that exercise is good for us, so we are wired to just do it. Our older generations are not. They're programmed that they just be active. They can just do their yard work and everything will be fine. So figuring out how do we get them to do their homework, to do their home exercises? How do we figure out to make their homework relevant? Maybe the boring exercise that I want them to do, while it's exactly what I need them to do, maybe we can find a little more fun way to do that kind of thing so that they're just engaged. And then a lot of times there's some coaching bits there. Like people are in pain, they're not feeling good. And so I think that's the most fun part for me is solving the physical part and solving and helping people solve their maybe more emotional, maybe more sort of like life, whatever you would call a life coach, like just solving for how do they set up their life for success, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. That's cool. It's fascinating, isn't it? I love that working at that human puzzle part. Given that, yes, I'm a coach in the business space, but I love being able to work out, well, what is it that we can get, like, because typically for anyone to move forwards in creating change, whether it's in a physical capacity or a business capacity or something else, there's got to be something that happens daily for it to, in most cases, for it to really stick. Because even, especially if you've got this habitual stuff that if it's left for 48 hours or 3 days, it can be problematic in that like they'll lose momentum. And so how then do we find that little thing that they can put in place every single day? And sometimes I'm assuming that with some of your rehab patients, you'd have them doing things 3 and 4 and 5 times a day, like depending on the nature of the exercise. So how do you find that little spot? What is that key trigger that you can go, this is where I need that to happen as a little change and work out? I love that puzzle part as well. That how do we work it out so that it becomes important enough for the person you're working with to actually do what you recommend? So
Yeah,
it's
I think the something that you can do physically while you're in the clinic, and I guess I do this too for my online folks, is show them that the exercises work.
yeah,
And you do that by a test, and then you do some sort of treatment, you do some sort of exercise, and then you retest and you compare.
yeah,
So a bit of trial and error, but the test retest just shows people like, hey, you do your stuff, it helps. And if you don't do your stuff, then you know, you can lead a horse to water. Can't make you drink the water.
yeah, 100%. Just got to make the water tasty enough, Nick. Put a
That's
bit of
right. Let's just
molasses
add
in there. That would
a little salt.
salt, molasses. What do you use to get a horse to drink water? Never had to worry about horses drinking water. I can know how to get some cattle to eat some food though. It was always molasses when they didn't want to touch the drought feed supplement stuff. Anyway, the whole other thing. Okay, so flip side, loving working out the human puzzle is a bit that you love, and the puzzles, right? But especially the human puzzle now. What's the least favorite part of what you get to do?
In terms of the full-time work, like the documenting, is just the necessary evil. You have to, there's aspects of for every party to have the documentation. Like it's behooving for the insurance company to have data. It's behooving of the clinician so that they can protect themselves in, Lord forbid, they get sued. It's good for the clinician also to know what did I do with this person last time and how did they respond so we can change the treatment program so that it's actually helpful. So it's a necessary evil. Who wants to sit there and just type, type?
Not me.
Nobody.
Not me.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll just be talking into a headset and it'll all just populate on the computer via AI and just make that easier.
Yeah, it's interesting this whole AI stuff. And we are talking about this just a little while ago. Because that was the first thing I'm like, surely there's got to be something that where with the fact that AI can come into a Zoom meeting like this and can take a recording, create a transcription, generate a to-do list, an action list out of it, that allocating it to whoever it is that actually was talking about, I'll do this and I'll do that. if AI can do that already in a recording like this, surely there's something that you can put into a clinic setting that would generate something similar. But what does it then, where does that go to? There's so many, as I discover more about AI, I've got so many questions. How do you protect the data that you collect if you go down that path because of the issues relating to the platforms that AI comes out of, etc.? There's so many issues with that, but I've no doubt that at some point somebody will create something that is safe to use in a clinical setting to, yeah, make your life easier and also to protect the privacy of your patients. So,
Yeah. I think at this point it's a race to the finish, and that means the safety wheels are off. And until we're not really competing, and maybe that, well, I guess maybe until somebody wins
yeah,
the race, then I don't know if that safety bit will be coming.
yeah. It's interesting actually. There's a episode of Diary of a CEO, that's this podcast that Stephen Bartlett does. And he put
Yeah.
one out recently that I started to watch and then stopped. I need to go back to it, where he's interviewing,
Is it
I think,
Simon?
no, it's an AI, one of the people who was like key in developing AI. I think he works for Google or did work for Google, I'm not sure. And he's actually talking about the way AI is advancing and some of the scary stuff that is potentially coming. It's really, I'll have to find it and send it to you. Because yeah, this whole race to the finish line, everyone is racing. There's been so many changes and so much advancement in AI. And the jury's still out in my mind, but I'm not actually convinced that all of it's good.
I was talking with one of my buddies about this recently, and what we've come to the conclusion of is we don't know if it's good or bad yet, obviously, but we're in for one hell of a ride. One way or
Yeah.
the
Already. Man, have you seen all the Christmas photos that everybody's popping up on Facebook?
Oh my God. Who was it? Oh, I just saw one last night. And I have an eye for it. I'm like, that's not real.
Yeah, yep, yep. Oh, Rebecca put one up that where
Yes, it was Rebecca.
yes, beautiful dress.
Beautiful.
But yeah, definitely AI. And it's fascinating to see. I've seen four of them without even, I barely get on to scroll these days. I get in, check notifications and get out again. But I managed to see four in the last 24 hours.
I just saw the prompt too, and it's the
Oh,
prompt
really?
is massive to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it? Anyway, but that's the thing. If you're gonna create, like I haven't done a lot in this space, but I had a little play in the last couple of days where I created myself a little decluttering coach, as I was mentioning before. And I literally said, this is what I want you to be. Tell me what I need to tell you so that you can like create that support. And it sent me 20 questions to answer. So then I went through and just went, okay, I'll answer all these, but don't respond until afterwards, because knowing what my brain said, go down some other little rabbit warren. And then out of it, there was another probably five or six before it got to any kind of recommendations. So it was a good half hour of messaging backwards and forwards to this thing while I sorted that out, just to
And
get started.
like, have you gotten at this point, has it given you some advice? And I'm just curious, like,
Mm,
what is your first impression of it?
yeah, it works. So the fact that my eldest has got a bed to sleep in right now is evidence that it works. Because this
All right,
floor in
right
this
on.
room, like right there, what you can't see on camera at the moment, that was covered in crap, and now it's got a bed there, and it's not perfect, but it's done. It's done enough that it's functional for the moment, and then we'll improve it later on. Because I'm good at many things, housekeeping is not one of them.
I think iterative, like, that's the best way to do things. Even Elon likes to do things iteratively, and sometimes his rockets explode. You just gotta make it good enough, and then
Yeah,
on to the version 2 and version 3. I think
exactly.
it's a
And
great way to
even
do it.
as I was going through and planning what to do, the prompts from the AI helped me to work, like even just to define, there's about 6 categories of clutter basically in my room right now, in this room. And so to be able to even just get those categories out, and then literally I've just got a box for each right now. But instead of being spread everywhere, I've got boxes. So I can, when I want to deal with one thing or find it, I can go there. And in my world, that's a big progress.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
a
like I'm
little bit
airing my dirty
organized.
laundry here. But anyway, look, I'm just not, I'm just human, right?
Yeah, we're just human.
So yeah, anyway, it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. Because I tell you, when you said before about not liking doing the admin side of business, that's about 90% of the business owners that I speak with. Because everybody, I think there's been one exception to the rule in terms of people who I've had interviewed on here over the last 4 years. Every single person's been a business owner. And yeah, most people say the financial paperwork, but I think any paperwork covers into it really. It's admin just I don't know about you, but I just want to be on the front foot talking to people, working, helping people out.
That's what we got into this thing for, is to help
Exactly.
people.
Exactly. I do love when you find those people who love bookwork and then you go, here, do that.
Let me, I got something for you.
Yeah.
You need a job?
Yeah. You help me. I make more money. We get, this is great.
Win.
100%. Love it. As you find those people who love these things that you hate and want to be a part of your business, what is it? Where are you building towards? What's the dream?
So I actually put a name to it not too long ago. I'm in a leadership mastermind group called is it Leadership Mastery Program,
Yep.
LMP. And I shared it with that group, but I'll share it here. I want to bring more heart to healthcare. And so I'm wanting to create this project called Heartborn Health. And still working out the vision of what that looks like and getting more clarity as I go on. But the crux of it is bringing like humanity back to healthcare. It's very clinical and much like the admin work we were just talking about, it's very about crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And certainly, like when you're running a business, that's important, but we don't want to treat people like numbers. I think a
Mm.
lot of times that's what ends up happening in modern healthcare. And that's something I feel strongly about that I want to change.
It's certainly given the differences in the Australian versus the American healthcare system and how your insurance system works, or what I understand of how your insurance system works or doesn't work. There's yeah, seems to be a lot more treating people like numbers. And I guess in Australia, there's some changes going that way as well, as we have more and more struggles with having enough practitioners in the different areas where support is needed. Yeah, it's a big challenge to try and get healthcare to work for everybody. I think at the moment it seems to be a little bit lopsided in where it's beneficial and where it's not.
Yeah, and I think we can't really agree on what if there was a universal, a baseline,
Mm.
like what we can't agree on what that looks like. And for me personally, like I think we should be a little more holistic and we should be like more proactive.
Mm.
If my insurance paid for my gym and gave me, I, who knows, so let's say pie in the sky, giving me money for supplements. And if it incentivized people to be healthy rather than just let you do whatever you want to do and then deal with the fallout,
Yeah.
I think we would have a lot more healthy people. And
Mm.
that leads to people living more quality lives when they're healthier.
Yeah, because I do remember hearing years ago about X number of dollars invested into preventative measures, like you said, supplements or like incentivizing use of supplements, go to the gym, those sorts of things. And the trade-off in terms of how much you save on the back end in terms of the treatment that's not required for those people is it's massive. Yeah, we need to do more of that.
I
How
mean,
we
it
get
makes sense.
it does make
Uh,
sense. I mean, it looks like a win-win, but how do we get the bigger people to think that as well?
and I think we're coming up with more and more higher tech things. And that's
Yeah.
something that and that's I think where I've been thinking about, okay, like AI is going to literally change everything. And so I have current healthcare landscape I have this vision of what my different is going to look like, but the tech that we're going to get into it's just going to change so
Mm.
much.
Mm.
I think for me, like staying true to the vision of treating people as people and leading with the heart is going to be like whatever transpires for the business, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see what this develops into, Nick. Because
And
knowing like how big the vision is, how much support I know that you have around you that can help you make that vision come to life, and to see the heart that I've already seen within you to lead a business like that, man, magic, magic right here.
let's change the world.
Heck yeah, love it. All right, so final question before we wrap up. As people think about you, your message, your work, what's the biggest thing that you want people to take away? What do you want them to remember when they think about Nick?
I think the biggest thing is that people deserve to have high quality lives and that we're born with that deservability. And sometimes we might need support, but people deserve to live good, fit, healthy lives.
Yeah, I love that. We have so much more control over that than many of us think, don't we? Yeah,
Yes.
100%. Thank you so much, Nick. I have loved chatting with you as always. I look forward to many more conversations in our future, and we will share this as far as we can, as wide as we can, so that more people can see you and learn about your message and, yeah, get behind this movement that I can see you generating. I really love it.
Thanks so much. Thanks so
You're
much,
very
Terry. I really appreciate you having me on.
anytime. Happy to. I'll talk to you again soon. But for now, it's
Talk
bye
to you
from
soon.
me.